And I like went around his room one day, picking up the labels, being like, polyester, polyester, polyester. And I was like, wow, what is going on? He would sit there with them in his mouth, chewing on them. And I was like, well, he's literally like ingesting all those microplastics. So that's why I started the business. I just thought we could do better.
Hey, I'm Kate Arnell and welcome to my podcast where I share with you my love of natural living, as well as a little of whatever rabbit hole I've fallen down recently. Today I'm chatting with Emma Bianco, founder of Pure Earth Collection, an innovative baby and kids brand looking to offer plastic-free and organic options for families. Emma is also a mother to 3 children and an advocate for helping people reduce plastic in their homes and daily lives, especially when it comes to the health of our children. I've known Emma for a few years now and I figured she'd be a wonderful first guest for my first podcast episode. But before we dive in, I want to tell you about today's podcast sponsor, Bottle Cup. Lovingly created by myself and my husband. Yes, that's right, I'm sponsoring myself for this first podcast episode. Are you fed up of disposable coffee cups but hate carrying around lots of reusables for those just-in-case moments? Or maybe your cupboard is filled with reusable cups, but you keep forgetting them. Well, that's exactly why we created Bottle Cup, to help people carry less but reuse more. Bottle Cup is a convenient, space-saving 2-in-1 reusable water bottle with a detachable cup, meaning you'll always have your reusable cup with you. No more forgetting your cup, no more carrying heavy, bulky reusables, and no more disposables. Bottle Cup is double-walled, vacuum insulated, which means both bottle and cup will keep your drinks hot or cold for hours. The cup even comes with its own silicone lid, which is stored neatly and hygienically in the base until you're ready to use it. Inside the cup, you'll find some measurement markers too, which your barista will love. Once you've finished your takeaway drink, simply reunite bottle and cup into one easy-to-carry, space-saving item. Bottle Cup comes with a lifetime guarantee and was even shortlisted in the Design Awards. And here's what some of our customers have been saying. Christine writes, "What a great product. I never forget my coffee cup now and keeps coffee hot for so long. People are amazed at the clever design." And Ross shares, "I'm absolutely delighted with my bottle cup. It's such a clever idea and is really well made too. I'd 100% recommend it to anyone. It's so handy and versatile for bringing to work, camping or the gym, and also makes for a fantastic gift." Never forget your reusable cup ever again with Bottle Cup. Head to bottlecup.com to find out more. I'll link everything in the show notes. But for now, let's dive in to today's episode. Emma! Hello, welcome to my first podcast.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm really well, thank you. I just realised I've chosen a very squeaky chair to sit on.
Oh dear. Okay, well you have to just sit really still.
How are you doing?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Really good, really busy. Just the crazy life of running the business, growing the business and growing 3 small kids. So yeah, it's just all a bit mad.
Amazing. I'm excited to delve into all of this. So for those that don't know Pure Earth Collection, just give us a little taste of what your business is all about.
Pure Earth Collection is eco baby and kids brand, but I don't really like using the word eco because I think it's so overused. And what does that even mean? So a lot of brands claim to be eco, but what we are is we literally redesign as many products as we can in the market that are usually made out of like polyester, microplastics, toxic chemicals. I know that sounds horrific when you're talking about babies, but so many of those products do contain like really nasty things. So we would redesign a lot of the products using just natural, biodegradable and non-toxic materials as far as we possibly can. That's kind of us in a nutshell. We started just focusing on babies like 0 to 2, but then the demand really grew as the business grew for like older kids as well. So now we cater to kids up to like age 12 and above. And yeah, that older kids section is really growing, I guess, as my kids grow as well. And as the kind of customers that we had when they were like, you know, when the business was small 8 years ago and they've grown and now it's very like customer led as well. People say, right, can you make this? Can you make that? We've been searching for this. So it's like really great getting all the feedback from our customers as well.
I remember coming across your brand Pure Earth Collection and seeing your tree foam playmats, and it was just one of those moments of like, thank goodness I've found a company who are actually just making things better. How has it been in terms of finding alternative materials that kind of meet customers' level of expectations for a product?
Very tricky. And I guess this is why so many people just revert to polyester, because polyester is like reliable in that it behaves in a certain way and people know how it's going to work when they're using it in the manufacturing process. They know how it's going to work when it's in use for the consumer. It doesn't muck about, basically, apart from kind of poisoning us and poisoning the world. It doesn't muck about in terms of like functionality so much. So when you try and replace that with natural materials, there's a lot of challenges. You were actually one of our first customers. I think you were literally like the first 20 customers. Yeah. So you found our brand when we were like brand new.
I always like to think I'm slightly ahead of the curve.
Yeah, you were way ahead of the curve. We'd just bought out our first batch of sleeping bags. And I think that's the batch that you bought. That batch, it was great, and I still use the sleeping bags from that batch for my kids, but the fabrics weren't as stable because we hadn't done so much kind of rigorous like testing of like the stability of the fabrics over time with the washing. So like the last 7 years has been a massive learning curve for that. Just really testing out all the different fabrics, what we can do, what are their limits, how to wash them, how to maintain them the best way. If you're watching this and you're somebody who wants the products to look perfect forever, this is not your brand. Because like this guy here, this teddy, 100% biodegradable, like biodegradable stuffing, biodegradable, cotton on the outside. After about a year, he's going to go a bit floppy and look really loved. Like he'll look really well loved. And so if you want your teddies like with polyester inside to maintain their like squidginess, this is not the guy for you. But if you want your teddies to not pollute the air with microplastics, he's your man. Our kids actually, they love it when their teddies look a bit squashed and a little like cuddly and like get a bit of character about them. They're not going to fall apart. They're not going to disintegrate, but they're just not going to look as good forever. And I think that's one of the main challenges with using like really natural products. But people who find our brand and love our brand really understand that as well. So that's not an issue for them.
Did you want to create a business, or was it just the fact that there's so much plastic? I'm genuinely shocked by it. And I think our brains are quite similar in that we seem to just think, why is this normal?
Yeah.
In the world of kids things like toys, bottles, cutlery, bedding, like there's surfaces that we put them down on, there's so much plastic. They've got such delicate systems, they're still growing. So they're the ones that are perhaps more at risk from any chemicals used in a lot of the synthetic materials in kids stuff.
I've got quite a sort of dyslexic brain. I just kind of think on the spot, and I'm always questioning things, and I'm always trying to make things better, and I like to be creative and sort stuff out. If I want to do something, I won't sit around and think, I'm going to just plan that for a while. I'm like, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to get it done. So there were a few, like when my first baby was about 3 months old, I just started looking around the house being like, what is all this stuff in my house? Like I've been sleepwalking for the last 3 months, as most new parents do. And now I'm looking around thinking, why have I bought all this stuff that's just quite clearly not regulated to the extent that it needs to be regulated? And this is not safe. And it kind of made me sad because I thought, actually, I'm like quite an organic person and quite a sustainable person. It's so easy to be tricked and just to feel trusting and to think, no, everybody's going to want the best for the babies. They're not going to put nasty stuff in it, but they do. So I just started design, like the first two things were a sleeping bag, because I searched high and low for a sleeping bag without polyester inside, like a nice squishy wadded sleeping bag without polyester. Didn't exist. And also baby comforters, because that's something that we were we were given like 20 baby comforters when my first baby was born by lovely, well-meaning people. All of them were 100% polyester. And I like went around his room one day picking up the labels, being like, polyester, polyester, polyester. And I was like, wow, what is going on? He would sit there with them in his mouth, chewing on them. And I was like, he's literally like ingesting all those microplastics. So that's why I started the business. I just thought we could do better. We could do better for babies. And I'm going to make these products and I'm just going to see if other people want them too. And that's kind of where it started. So I didn't think I'm going to start a business. I just thought I'm going to make some things in a better way and see if anyone else would like those. And it just kind of grew from there, I guess.
And kids, that's how they kind of explore the world. That's how they learn about the world. So the fact that so much is made from very sheddable, like polyester fibers that come off easily and go straight into kids' mouths is just mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing. So one of my favorite like little home experiments that I like to ask people to do so they can see the extent of it is literally go and pick up one of your teddies. It can be polyester or it can be cotton or whatever. And if you've got a sunbeam coming in your window, so wait till there's a sunny day. But if there's not a sunny day, it's fine. Just turn a light on in your house and do it next to a light bulb. Shake it. Give it a good shake like your baby would do. Yeah. And then you can literally just look at the air. I mean, I can see it now. Like, it's not even that sunny. And I can just see probably like 400, 500 little cotton, because this is cotton, little micro particles floating around in the air. And if that was a polyester teddy, they would all be microplastics. And they're literally being breathed into your baby's lungs, where they will get wedged and stay forever. Like, that's not coming out. That's going to get absorbed into their blood system. That's going to get into their bodies, go round, into their other major organs. Like, wow, okay, that is what happens to the air pollution when my kid plays with a polyester toy.
I kind of go on these deep dives trying to find organic and natural alternatives to pretty much everything. Just a general thing we started out doing was just questioning whether you actually need something in the first place. And I think there's a lot to be said for keeping things simple and seeing if you can find things that are multi-purpose or just questioning whether you really need something, and having fewer but better quality items. And I think generally kids actually get overwhelmed with a lot of stuff as well.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Again, I know I keep bringing it back from teddies, and that's not even like the main thing that we do, but it's such an important thing for teddies, because everybody says, yeah, but your teddies are like twice the price of a polyester jelly cat. And I say, well, how many teddies does your kid have? Like, how many? It's going to be over 20 or 30. Why don't you just buy 10 and have like really safe ones instead?
Exactly. And they won't get so overwhelmed. You won't have so much tidying up to do.
Yeah, if there's less tidying up, everyone wins.
You're doing having some research done, is that right, with Portsmouth University?
So we're looking into doing some at the moment into how many microplastics is your child exposed to when they play with a toy for a certain amount of time. Portsmouth University are a leading university globally for microplastics research, and they've done loads of the microplastic research and the studies. Like, there was one, the microplastics in the kids' bedroom, that was 22 times higher than in the rest of the house. That came out of Portsmouth Uni about 2 years ago. That was in the air pollution, the microplastic air pollution. So they're a great uni to kind of do these things. And I just thought it might be really useful to actually, I can sit there and shake this in front of the window, but actually, like, what happens when you chew it? How many are going into you? What does it mean? I think people like facts and figures, and they like a verified study. So I think it would just be really important for parents to know, so they can make an informed decision about these things.
I was going to ask, what's the process like when you come up with an idea for a product? What's the kind of journey that you go on from start to finish?
So I have the idea usually like late at night, or when I'm sort of hanging out with my kids, one of them, in particular, I think, right, actually you need that. I'm quite old school. I draw it on a piece of paper and I colour it in with my colouring pencils to make it look all pretty. And then either I send it directly to our suppliers, our factory, who I don't think have ever seen a hand-drawn picture in their life. And I put all the dimensions and all the like material specs on there. But lately, actually, I've got a colleague who likes to put it into kind of a more computerized format. So I'll send her the drawings, and then she'll put it into, a sort of more sort of typical tech file. But our suppliers are amazing, and they're happy to work with my like random scribbled hand drawings. Then they start sampling it, and they will do a few samples, usually send me some photos of the samples. I'll give some feedback. Once I think the samples are ready, they'll send them to me, and then we have to approve the samples. Then we go into full production. So once the sample's approved, we then order all the fabrics, like do the big production of fabrics, get them all tested, send them off for GOTS certification, and send them off for the CE certifications as well, to make sure they're, all compliant. Yeah. So the CE certification looks into fabrics, but also it looks into the like finished toy or whatever the product is. I mean, the CE certification, when it looks at the fabrics, doesn't go nearly as deep as it's needed to, so I like to have the GOTS certification and as many other tests as possible, basically. So once we're happy with all the test results, we'll go, right, let's make 2,000 of these, or however many we're going to make. They get made, they get popped on a ship, sent around the world, and then we sell them.
Amazing.
Our production used to be in the UK, but what we found was, we thought that's going to be the more sustainable option. It's also great to support UK businesses, and it was a nightmare doing it in the UK. It was basically impossible. Also, all the materials, all the lovely natural GOTS certified materials come from where our manufacturer is now. Oh. So the bulk of the materials were coming anyway. So it's not more sustainable to do it here because it's actually then makes it more bitty and everything comes from different places. And we've got a couple of suppliers, but one of our suppliers does like 80% of our stuff, and they're just brilliant. They're lovely, like family run. They have SEDEX approval, so they're really like high welfare, and really they're just a great factory to work with.
And for anyone listening, GOTS certification is the Global Organic Textile Standards, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's the kind of gold standard in the world of materials when it comes to organic certification. You have got such great options, I think, in terms of your products, like things that most people wouldn't even have thought of. Things like the organic blackout blinds. I think everyone went a bit crazy for those because it was such a unique idea and something that people probably hadn't even thought about before. And then you've got the tree foam mats. You've got some clothing as well. You've just launched swimwear, which I'm super excited about because for the last few years, I've had to get a little creative with our swimwear at home. So pulling out little merino wool shorts for my son going, these could work. Tell me about how that came about.
A bit like you, really. I was just looking everywhere for natural swimwear, and my kids in the summer, even if they're not swimming, they just like to put on a swimming costume and swimming trunks and just run around all day. It's kind of their summer uniform at home. It's just what they wear all day in the garden. You know my thoughts about polyester now. And so I was just like, no, I can't just let you hang out in polyester all day. But I also don't want to be the like really pushy mother saying, you can't wear that. So I thought, right, I'm going to make them something. I'll just make them something better.
To the sewing machine.
Exactly. I looked and looked and looked, couldn't find anything at all. And so we have cut. So these are in sizes 2, and they've got like a nice little bow back, and they also come in a yellow.
Oh, I love that back detail.
2 years old up to 13-year-old for these. And then these, I think the ones that you've got. So these are the boys' swimming trunks. So the girls, they come in the same colours, each of them. So that's also up to 13 years old. And then soon, we are bringing out these little swim nappies for the babies. So same, like matching to the other ones.
That's genius. I think that might be, I feel like I want to say the first of its kind. Are they all made from organic cotton, or tell me the details? So
organic cotton. So the jersey fabric of the swimming costume, so this stretchy one here, that is 98% organic cotton and 2% lycra. We tried without the lycra, but it just doesn't hold its shape and it deteriorates really quickly over time. So you had to have the lycra in there. However, we've just found a bio-based lycra, which we're working to incorporate for our next year's production, which is really exciting. The shorts are, this fabric here, this woven fabric is 100% organic cotton. Brilliant. And then inside, instead of the usual mesh, which makes my little boy go crazy because he says it's so uncomfortable, the mesh. Yeah. So we've got the same as the swimming costume fabric, the 98% cotton, 2% lycra in there.
I love your level of detail when it comes to materials, because I think that's the tricky thing with so many brands can easily just say, oh, it uses organic cotton, and then it's not until you like geek out on the details that you find out certain things have got a polyester wadding, which I'm guessing is what you found a lot with the sleeping bags. And yes, when it comes to the mesh in shorts, I actually tried buying my son some swimming shorts last year from a company that said that they were organic cotton, and on the outside they were, but inside was a really synthetic mesh. So I was like cutting it out last summer. So the fact that you've actually thought about the mesh inside as well is just brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, that was mainly born from my son hating the mesh, just from a comfort point of view. But also the mesh is it's all plastic. I guess there's two angles. Like with all our products, there's two angles for the swimwear. My primary angle always is the health of little ones. That's always number one goal. But the secondary angle is every time I typed in organic cotton swimwear, it came up with all the eco swimwear options, which is recycled plastic. Recycled plastic, firstly, is way worse for your health. But also, it's not helping the environment to go swimming in the ocean in recycled plastic bottles, which are literally shedding thousands of microplastics into the ocean as you swim. It's madness. And those microplastics coming off the recycled materials are more toxic to the environment and to the little person wearing them than virgin polyester would be.
That's one of those things that has just really baffled me as well, because you are literally taking what is potentially rescued, recycled,
previous ocean plastic and kind of dumping it straight back into the to the ocean, and it's shedding into such tiny parts. And yes, obviously when it comes to the health, often we're wearing things like swimwear in direct sunlight, and I think that can break down materials a bit more.
And with activewear as well, because when you sweat, your body produces an oil that brings out the chemicals in the plastic. And a lot of the activewear brands are now using recycled polyester for their leggings and sports bras, and it's just not safe for human health. And I think there were like 20 brands that were called out in America by a big piece of research that had like up to 40 times the legal limit of BPA and like some nasty chemicals in their recycled polyester garments. And they were claiming that they were like eco and sustainable and doing the good thing. Someone told me the other day, and this is actual madness, that the demand for recycled materials has gone up so high that factories are buying virgin fabrics, recycling them, and so they can sell them as recycled.
I've often thought I don't understand why there isn't more swimwear made from natural materials, and you've chosen organic cotton, which is great. I think other materials that I've geeked out on would be like hemp and merino wool, and I think there are potentially some really good fabrics, natural fabrics out there. Yeah, it's a bit of a no-brainer, like why wouldn't you use them? But I guess so much of it comes down to cost. But I also love with a lot of your clothing, you kind of design for a longer term, a longer fit. It's not such a short window of like, oh no, I'm going to buy this thing and then they'll outgrow it in like 6 months or even a year. You've designed for the items to kind of last a lot longer.
That was really a decision that we made right at the beginning, because a lot of businesses, it's part of their business model to make you keep buying. As your baby like grows every 3 months, you have to buy a new one. But you don't need to buy a new one. Just wear the same thing for 3 years. Like often, if just a few tweaks to the design, and you can make that one product last longer. But businesses don't want to do that because they want you to come back and buy another one when your baby grows a teeny tiny bit.
An inch, and you're like, oh no, those trousers have turned into shorts.
So it's just unnecessary, and there's no need. It's something as a consumer that drives me slightly mad. So I didn't want to go and, I wanted to change that from a company perspective to make sure we weren't going to do that to, tired, exhausted parents. It's also one of the things that's always on my list to do, like sort out the kids' drawers, put away the too small clothes, get out the bigger ones. We've got loads of secondhand stuff in the attic that we've been given that I'm just constantly going through. Yeah. And if I don't have to do that for 3 years because my child's going to stay in that piece for 3 years, then great. Everyone's winning.
Tell me more about the swim nappies.
So hopefully they will be ready by kind of May, June, but we're just trying to get them sorted now. But I mean, that's it really. Inside, they've got a terry towel to collect any sort of little spillages. They've got really like tight, stretchy legs in there to make sure it keeps in all the leaks.
And those are organic cotton as well?
Organic cotton, yeah. 98% organic cotton on the outside, and the inside is 100% organic cotton.
I was doing some research for a blog post, like writing all about plastic-free, organic, natural swimwear, and I did a little tiny section on swim nappies. I think a lot of people don't know that they're not actually designed to catch urine. No. They're only designed to catch solid waste.
No, they definitely don't collect urine, but they're tried and tested, collect solid waste, and that's the most important part, especially if you're in someone's swimming pool. You don't want to be leaving that solid waste behind.
Exactly. You want to keep your friends with the pool. What's the kind of the weirdest or most unusual thing you've done personally in a situation to try and avoid plastic?
I mean, you can go crazy with it, can't you? Sometimes I just have to think, just let it be. Yeah. When we were buying a new car and my husband was, he had his things that he really needed because cars are his thing, not mine. But it was the school, it was the school run car, the car that I'm in every day with the kids. And he spent ages trying to find the right one. And eventually he found one, but it had recycled polyester seats. And I was like, oh no, we can't have that. And eventually I just had to suck it up because I thought, you know what, we can't, even the leather ones, leather's not great either. Leather's full of like nasty toxins. Cars are just going to have to leave it there. Cars are not great. They're not little non-toxic sanctuaries.
What products do you have on the horizon that are you sort of like bubbling away in your mind that you feel happy to share about? Because I'm sure there's probably, you don't want to give away too many good ideas.
Just so many. I mean, we So this guy here that I've showed you a few times. So we have 3 sensory toys. So like make noise but we don't yet have any like cuddly teddies. So we're bringing out 3 teddies in probably like September, October time. So that's really exciting. We're working on more swimwear because I fully appreciate that this is not the ideal swimwear for everyone because it's like short sleeves. So we're working on a long sleeved version for boys and girls, so it's a bit more sun safe. These are UV 50 protective, so fantastic. A long sleeve version with that would be nice and sun safe, so hopefully by next year. There's a lot of pressure on me to do adult swimwear too. Yes. And I would love to, but it's a lot, so we'll see. This time next year maybe there'll be a little bit of adult swimwear, but I'm not sure.
Can I be the first customer, please?
Yes, definitely. The problem with adult swimwear is there's so many opinions on style. A bikini or a swimming costume can be cut in like 1,000 different ways. So I'd love to do that. We're bringing out some kids sleeping bags soon in the next couple of months.
Great.
So same fabrics as the baby sleeping bags, but for kids, to go with our kids travel beds.
Yes, which we love, by the way.
What I would love to do, but we haven't found the right materials to do this with yet. But there's loads of companies developing these sorts of materials now. So I'm really excited that hopefully in like 2 or 3 years we can do this as a paddling pool. armbands, paddling pool, all that PVC nonsense that's just so bad for the babies. Like babies sit in that paddling pool that's just, I have been known to use giant cooking pots for paddling pools for my babies.
Same. It was like getting out the old casserole pots and going, just stand in that.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Just looks like I'm cooking my baby on the lawn, but it's fine.
Yeah. Here's a spoon. Give yourself a stir. I went on a bit of a deep dive again last summer. I was like, there must be something, and came across like stock tanks that they use a lot in America for cattle. These giant metal bowls basically that a lot of people have started turning into. You can actually really pimp them up quite nicely, but turn them into kind of like a paddling pool / pool for the family. But they're quite an investment, and I think they're called dip tanks. That was the only kind of alternative I could come up with that wasn't like a cooking pot. That would be amazing, to find a material that could basically be an inflatable.
There's a company that we're talking to that are developing these plastics as we speak, so I'm really hoping they're gonna also like buggy covers. I mean, if they could create a bio-based, fully biodegradable, food safe, so the one that they're developing literally becomes fish food as it dissolves into the environment.
Wow.
Because it's that safe, like it has no chemicals or nasty things in it. So if they could create like a PVC type plastic that's that safe, but also could be a buggy rain cover and a paddling pool and armbands, kids chew on them the whole time. They just sit there in their mouth, and they're just PVC, which is like the worst type of plastic.
Is there a product that you personally wouldn't ever envisage doing, but you'd actually just love somebody else to do?
Oh, so many. All the really high tech products, travel cots, car seats, buggies, all of those sorts of things, which are, I mean, I think they are quite high tech, aren't they? I mean, I can't even imagine where I'd start making those sorts of things, but they're all polyester. So even car seats are gaining progress. I mean, they're making improvements because there are now more options that don't have flame retardants, which is good.
But I think Nuna's one of them that has adopted a no added flame retardant policy across all of their car seat designs now, which is great. Yeah,
great, and a massive improvement, but still they're all polyester.
Yeah, I've noticed some of them started using like a merino wool blend as to sort of bring in the natural flame retardant properties. And I think the first one we ever got from Nuna actually came with like little organic cotton inserts, but that was
nice.
Yeah, that was I don't know if they make it anymore. It was the Pippa Light something or other, but it was the closest I could find. But yes, underneath it's still kind of like polystyrene and all of those materials, but it was the best I could find at the time. That whole industry is kind of like ripe for innovation when it comes to new materials.
And I don't know if there are any organic cotton buggies out there. I think they're all polyester. So
there's one. Yeah, I think it's in Austria. It's called Naturekind.
Oh, I think I have heard of that.
They don't sell over here anymore, but we actually managed to get one. You can find them secondhand as well, a little bit here and there. They've got a lot of GOTS certified organic cotton. They do like natural stuffing. It's definitely like the most kind of natural one available.
I bought one buggy 8 years ago and it's done all my kids, so I haven't looked into buggies for since then, but it's definitely polyester, our buggy. So I have, you know, that I have the wool insert to make where they sit a bit nicer, and all of those that like quite technical things is something that I would love to see done. I mean, even if anyone's watching and you want to take the adult swimwear off my hands, please do. I'm not being competitive about it. I just want it done. I just want some nice bikinis for myself that are cotton.
Yeah, it's something I've like in my mind. I've dabbled with the idea, and every time I see a nice swimsuit or bikini, I sort of screenshot it thinking, I might just add it to the little catalogue that's growing in my mind. But the idea of starting something like that feels quite overwhelming. But I probably need to just like take your approach and be like, let's just do
it.
See what happens.
You can do the adult swimwear. That'd be great.
What's your typical kind of day like? Because obviously you've got a family. How does it work out with like work-life balance?
So my husband works in London. We live in Hampshire. So he's gone at 5 a.m. and he doesn't get back till 8 or 8:30 most nights. So I'm that's me. I'm full childcare. That is my responsibility, house stuff, kids stuff. So it's just quite crazy. It's like, you know, getting 3 kids up. One of them's only 18 months old. Getting the bigger 2 to school. It's the juggle, isn't it? It's the kind of craziness. And then I sit at my desk and it's quiet and it's peaceful. And people say, oh, you know, it must be so hard juggling. I think actually it must be harder sometimes being, you know, not having your desk. Sometimes I'm desperate to come and sit in my little sanctuary that's my desk and just have some time to think on my own.
Just have a nap.
I mean, before I had kids, I found work quite stressful. Now I find work quite relaxing compared to the like craziness of family life. So yeah, get them up, get them all to their various childcare places, school, childcare, and then work most of the day, then go pick them all up. I kind of cram them into all the after school clubs because they love it actually, as well as luckily. I always used to feel guilty, and then every time I say, what's your favorite part of the day, they always say it's like the after school bits. Fridays is my kids' day, whether it's school or holidays. Like that's the day with the kids, and I do a bit of work when they're kind of happily playing, but you know, my focus is on them. And then I quite often work in the evenings, or you know, but when it's your own business, you're just always, even if I'm sitting on the sofa watching telly, my brain is churning over ideas and thoughts and strategies. So yeah, kind of always on, basically.
I have to find in the shower, weirdly. I don't know if it's the slight like white noise of the shower, like ideas just drop into my head. I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
my midnight pee trips, quite often brainwave moment, and I think, oh, now I can't get back to sleep because I'm now thinking about that.
Are you a night owl?
No. When I wake up in the night to go for a pee, I mean.
Oh, I see. Because my brain switches on at about sort of 9-10 o'clock in the evening, and that's when I'm like, oh, all the ideas. I then find it quite hard to go to sleep until a lot later. So.
Definitely always been a morning person.
Are you? Yeah. Oh, yeah. My husband's like that. He's just like up, and it's great. We're kind of like, we tag team everything. He does the morning shift, I do the afternoon, evening shifts. As someone who's like very passionate about reducing plastics, are there any like handy tips or anything that you found that people could do just in their homes that are kind of good at reducing exposure?
Yeah, so I always say like the number one thing that will have the biggest impact on reducing your microplastic exposure at home is getting rid of all the synthetic fabrics. And that's really overwhelming in itself, because even I, having been on this journey for a really long time, still have synthetic fabrics in my house because I have to, you know, the travel cot, the school uniforms. But if you do have the synthetic fabrics that you can't get rid of, don't take them into the kitchen. Don't hang your laundry in the kitchen. Like the school uniform gets hung elsewhere, doesn't come into the kitchen. Actually, that's another thing that I'm thinking of, like giving a bit of a makeover, school uniforms. Yes. But there's just so many different variations that's so tricky. Synthetic fabrics, because they shed so many microplastics into the air that like we're directly breathing, and it goes into the dust, and the dust is like, if you've got babies crawling around, the dust is, babies are really susceptible to that because their face is like really close to the dust. They're picking stuff up off the floor, putting it in their mouth. So yeah, synthetic fabrics in the house, that you need to look at your upholstery, your sofas, your cushions, your carpets. Yeah, it's a big job. Don't get overwhelmed by that, but just start with one thing and then like aim to do one thing a month, or just aim to, when you rebuy those things, rebuy better. So instead of like, if you don't want to go and chuck it all out and pull up your carpets, just when you replace your carpets or when you replace something, make sure you're buying natural.
What would you say has been your kind of biggest challenge in business? And then on the flip side of that, what's been your kind of pinch me moment?
Biggest challenge is 100% cash flow, because there are enormous things that come up, like COVID or global lockdown, or that you just cannot envisage. And when that sort of thing happens, the factories close, the shipping closes, the customers aren't buying as much, all the events that we have planned, it just kind of takes you by surprise. But it's not just COVID. I mean, there's things like that happen all the time to businesses that you just cannot plan for. I mean, at the moment, it's the Red Sea. So we were out of stock of things for 8 weeks. So that kind of thing, just constantly impacting your cash flow. You think you're going to sell X amount in 1 month, and you don't, because the stock hasn't arrived because of the Red Sea. So that's the number one challenge. So managing that, which, touch wood, I think we're now kind of on top of. It's just a bit like adult life, you think you're going to make it to the end of the year, and then your boiler breaks or your car breaks, and you have to fix it, and you don't have that money in the pot. So it's the same thing. It's just managing that budget and the cash flow. The biggest pinch me moment, I think, was probably winning our first award, because I was really reluctant to enter the awards, because I thought, we're a really small brand. Nobody really knows about us. We've only been around for a couple of years. The judging panels of like 10 or 15 people at these big publications or these big award places, they're going to know and have relationships with the other brands. So I just thought, even if they don't mean to, they might. So it just made me reluctant to enter. We entered our sleeping bags as like a test to see. Well, let's just see. I mean, it's worth trying. We won gold, and we won it again. I mean, in the same category. No, we entered sleeping bags and blackout blinds for that one. And in the same categories, we were up against Stocky, Baby Mori, some big brands that have been around for a really long time, and
really well known ones.
And our products like won against theirs, and that was like a whoa, okay, this is amazing. The judging panel actually like really loved our products. They've never heard of our company. They've never seen this before. Also, it showed that our products are not just like nice and organic and safe, but they're also best in class for functionality, because they were being judged on functionality here. They were being judged on how good is this product at doing what it needs to do.
Yeah, regardless of what it's made of, really. It's actually performing as well, if not better, than its leading competitors that are using very different materials.
So that was a few years ago, and that was really exciting. So now we've got quite a few awards now, which is, it's always amazing when you win awards. It's always like, oh wow, this is like really
what I'm doing matters.
Sometimes you just think, well, it's just me sitting here and with my silly ideas, and people buy it, but and then when you win awards, it's like, no, actually, like this amazing judging panel, and they've all really tested out my products, and they've really used it, and their kids have used it, and they have voted me gold. They've voted this product, like, wow.
I hope you take a little moment to kind of like pat yourself on the back.
Do a little like celebratory lap around the house.
You could do it in some swimwear if you crack on with the adult one. Celebration bikini, maybe not. I know we could chat for hours. It's just been brilliant having such a fantastic insight into what it's like to have your own business, but one that's really kind of breaking away from the norms and creating such innovative products using very, very natural organic materials. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you so much.
You make my life finding things much easier. I'm quite happy to go on these like deep research things in most areas, like outerwear, activewear, all that stuff, but when I know of your company, Pure Earth Collection, and I just know I can kind of trust it, if you know what I mean.
Well, that's the idea. We want people to be able to trust it without having to do the individual research into each piece, basically.
Thank you for being my first podcast guest.
Pleasure. Thank you for being one of our very first customers, sort of however many years ago it was.
Customer for life over here.